All right. Hello, family. I am Vivian, and on behalf of Crafted for Action, welcome to the June 19th, 2025 315 session Champagne Marketing on a Beer Budget How to Stretch Every Dollar with Julie Rhodes. So, thank you all so much for being here. Our chat is open. Feel free to drop your comments anytime. And just thank you for sharing this virtual space with us. And I'm going to turn it right over to Julie. Julie, thanks for being here. It's all yours.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you so much. I am super stoked to be here. We have a lot to cover. Not that I'm just going to skip over like who I am, but I just want to get right into things, if that's okay, with everybody. And again, jump into the comments, jump into the chat. Um, I have a feeling we might have a lot of questions about this stuff today. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you all for joining me on an afternoon. So, all right, this is me. I'm not going to make you read this whole thing. If yeah, I don't know, I guess you could really quickly, but it's basically just to say that I'm not some random person that Jen like plucked out of the thin air to talk to you about marketing and marketing budgets. I've been in the beverage industry for a couple of decades now. That's my family. My husband's part of the industry as well. I started a company called Not Your Hobby Marketing Solutions. Hi, everybody. I love when I see comments just saying hi, especially people I know. I started this company about 6, 7 years ago. I always tell folks if you have customers, you have a business, you don't have a hobby anymore. So please, let's treat it as such. But I specialize in helping out folks that are just getting started or they're in planning, maybe up to like, medium size. And, the thing that I saw as something that was needed was that most of the bigger brands out there have like armies of people and they have consultants and they have huge budgets, and nobody was really taking care of the smaller folks that are just getting started, which probably need the most help with business strategy, sales, marketing, distribution, stuff like that. So that's what I do. That's why I help people. If you want to get a hold of me, please find me. I have my contact info at the end of the slides today. So all right, so why are we here? I have notes, by the way. I'm old. I can't memorize all of this stuff. I'm not old. I'm joking. I'm seasoned. That's what I like to say. I'm a seasoned veteran. I don't like to use the word old, but I do have notes. So forgive me if I'm like gazing down at the bottom here. Um, Most of us don't have a six-figure marketing budget. We just don't. If you do, that's awesome. If you have like investors that are tossing dollars at you, great. You're kind of the exception to the rule here. So we have to be smart about the way that we spend money. That means we need to invest in strategic spending. We need to focus on things that are working. We need to kick to the curb things that are not working because that's a waste of time and resources, right? And how we can do that, not that this sums it up, we're going to go through all the details, but is to look at something as quality over quantity, right? Um, we can't do a lot of things, but can we do a few things that are really important, right? Can we focus on the things that work the best, that get the more bang for our buck, right? And can we focus on things that are outperforming stuff that might be typical to the industry, but maybe they don't quite work for your unique and specific brand. So that's what we're going to try to get to today. You don't have to have a huge budget to win in marketing. You just have to be particular. You got to be picky. You got to pick out what works, and you need to know how to recognize what's working and what's not working, right? Um, and the biggest thing I want to tell people, and I get asked this all the time, as a marketing consultant and a marketing professional and sales and distribution and all the other stuff that I do, I'm supposed to sit up here and tell you to do like the things that are best practices, the things that are in textbooks, the things that are recommended by the Small Business Administration, maybe other trade associations, stuff like that. I try to do that as much as I can, but here's the little asterisk or disclaimer with that is that I don't ever want you to overextend yourself as a solo entrepreneur or somebody with a small team or somebody with limited resources beyond your own bandwidth. So anytime you see somebody presenting on like topics where they're, thought leaders or expertise, they have a lot of expertise in a certain subject. I want you all to know that the best way to like digest all of that and put it into action is take everything in, learn it, absorb it, and then figure out how you can drill down into what you have bandwidth for. If you're doing all the sales and marketing, you might not be able to do everything according to the slides I'm going to show you today, but you might be able to do a little bit. So just know you got to walk before you run. It'd be nice to do all of this at one time, but don't feel pressured. A lot of these are nice to have, but not like a must have. Um, Three things I want you to walk away with today. If we accomplish anything, if you just like decide to tune out and you're like, Julie, just give me the too long, didn't read. I want you to understand how to build awareness and drive sales. That is really the whole point of marketing. It's not to check a box. It's not to say, like, oh, I did something that's in my business plan or a pitch or anything like that. It's to focus on cost effective tactics that actually move the needle according to marketing objectives that you probably have as an up and coming brand. There are different phases of your brand life cycle that focus on different marketing activities. Most people are either in the startup phase or the growth phase. That means that the only thing that you need to be focused on, honestly, big picture, is growing brand awareness and encouraging customer trial. That's what you need to do. You got to get the name out, you got to get the word out, you got to get people to try it so that they'll buy it, right? And that could be at a demo in a grocery store, it could be at a bar during a happy hour, it could be at your own tap room, your own tasting room, it could be at a farmer's market. Whatever you're doing, those are the things you're going to focus on. I want you to, number two, be able to identify budget wasters. There is a buttload of budget wasting options out there for marketing. Good lord, it's insane, right? And so I want you to be able to say, like, okay, TikTok, I don't know, that'd be nice to do, but how much time is it going to cost me? Do I have somebody to do that? Do I even have video content? Do I want to be on the video content? Some people are not comfortable with that. Like, maybe it would be good for your beverage brand, but it might not be good for your team. So I want you to be able to identify that stuff. Number three, practical strategies. I want you to focus on low cost marketing approaches that you can implement like yesterday. That's tomorrow. I'm saying yesterday. That's where I always start with everybody. I start with the free shit, sorry, free stuff. I start with the low cost stuff, things of that sort, because that's a great starting point. Like, why not leverage all the low cost and the free stuff that you can get your hands on before scaling up to paid strategies? So that's going to be a lot of what we talk about today. I want you to leave today with a game plan. I love free 99. That's like, but I'm glad you said that. I love free 99. It's like the greatest thing ever. There's a lot of free 99 in here. So, all right. This is where a lot of stuff gets wasted, just to be honest with everybody. Print ads. Print people, don't come after me. I'm not saying all print ads are bad. What I'm saying is that if you were a small nano tap room and you get a pitch for a $15,000 billboard, that's probably not in your best interest unless you are literally on a highway exit of an interstate. So I say print ads, please take that lightly, everybody, because there are some print ads that are very, very effective. But a lot of the times, people look at that or look at print ads and they say stuff like, magazine, newspaper, industry publication, program guide, whatever it is. I just want you to be selective because they're usually pretty expensive. They're difficult to track the actual results. They have kind of a low ROI and there's a limited audience reach. So just keep that in mind. Don't totally rule out print. I'm just saying be careful. Unaligned sponsorships. Ugh, don't get me started on sponsorships can be amazing, but you got to pick the right ones, right? Um, I'm trying to think of a good example, like right off the top of my head. I don't know if you have like a shandy, like juice, lager, light, you know, and you have the opportunity to sponsor a downhill skiing competition, probably not the best sponsorship fit, right? So I want everybody to think about, like, does this fit with my brand values, my branding in general, my differentiators, our organizational values, what we're trying to sell, our products, the features and the benefits. Just make sure it's a right fit, because these can be very pricey as well. Buying followers, this one is lesser known, but please don't do this. Please don't believe people that say that they can like hack the algorithm. The only people that can hack algorithms are the people that work for the social media channels. So don't pay money to people that say like I can increase your following. Da, 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 da. It's probably a robot. It's probably has something to do with AI. Um, you will get caught, first of all. And here's the thing: it's an uninvested audience, so there's no point in paying for that. That also goes honestly for like buying massive amounts of like email addresses and such. Um, Compiling followers and compiling subscribers is what we call a vanity metric. It's pointless. I would rather you have an engaged audience, but have it be really small. I'd rather you have 100 followers and have like 80 people on that platform all the time commenting and sharing and saving and doing all the things rather than for you to have 8,000 followers and have like 10 people be active. So again, quality over quantity, right? And the wrong activities. Like there's some really cool, flashy, like trending marketing tactics, floating around out there, especially with the evolution of social media and technology and online presence and stuff like that. But if they don't align with your audience or your brand, like your vision, your mission, the brand persona that you have, your identity, things of that sort, you don't need to be doing it just because everybody else is doing it. So get yourself off the hook for that. All right. What actually does work? All right. Let's talk about what moves the needle. I say mostly organic social media. I want you to think about social media marketing as the tortoise and the hare. Organic is the tortoise, the hare is paid. What we want to do for beverage brands is find a balance of the two. Um, if you can, by the way, I'm a little raspy for y'all that know me. I'm getting over a little bit of a respiratory infection. So if I have to pause to like drink my tea or crunch my cough drop here, just give me a break for a second. But hopefully I'm not too nasally and such. I love organic social media. Why? Because it's free 99. It is slow as molasses. It is like watching paint dry, especially now. The algorithm has changed. There's more people on these social media channels. Looking at you, Meta. Anyways, it is becoming harder and harder to become relevant in those spaces. Um, I sent out an email to my online community a couple weeks ago, and people told me I was crazy because I said post less but post better. It used to be industry standard that you would post once a day. You do not need to do that. And for all of you that are DIY in your marketing, here is your gift that I'm giving you today. Post 3 or 4 times a week. That's all you need. Three or four times a week. That is a t-shirt. Post 3 or 4 times a week. The thing is that you got to give a crap about what you're posting. It needs to be relevant to your brand and it needs to be relevant to a revenue stream that you're working on and it needs to engage your audience. It's not for you, it's for them. So I don't care if you think your post is cool. You got to make sure that your audience thinks your post is cool because you have to stop the scroll. That's the key. Or organic social media, the key is engagement. And I'm not talking about likes. That's another vanity metric, right? Yes, we want reach. Yes, we want more eyeballs. But what the meat and potatoes of social media marketing is engagement. So you want comments to start conversations. You want DMs to start conversations. You want saves because that means people think it's worth crap and they're saving it. And then you want shares. You want people tagging you. You want other people getting into your comments and tagging other people. Why? Because that shows an investment of interest and that moves the needle on organic social media. Now, if you can complement that with a wee bit of paid, which we'll talk about in a second, that will get you leaps and bounds further. All right. The other thing is SEO and PR. Here you go with the acronyms. SEO, search engine optimization. You do not have to be a techie to understand this. I teach SEO for non-tech people. We'll talk about that in a second. PR, what's that? Public relations, media relations, whatever you want to talk about, or wherever you want to label it as. It's basically publicity. So it's getting a write-up in your local newspaper, in a industry publication. It's getting mentioned in like a listicle somewhere. You're getting written up about on a review website, whatever it is. But it helps local customers find your brand and also engage with your brand and invest in your brand by buying things. The more that they can find you online, the better, right? Email marketing. Don't laugh. Email marketing is not all junk. It is permission marketing. And again, it is success is based on engagement. You want to be that email that people look forward to getting in their inbox. If you are not, then you're doing it wrong. I'll just tell you that right now. You're just doing it wrong. You need to go backwards. The coolest part about email is that it can get very specialized and it can get very personal because you can send people additional emails based off of their interaction with your marketing emails. That's how we personalize it. But also, you own it. You do not own your social media channels. You own your website, you own your SEO, you own your media, you also own your email marketing, and you own your advertising. But you kind of rent social media, which is not so fun because if one of the higher ups billionaires decides to pull the plug, you just lose everything. You don't have a choice. Owned media is always more valuable. And finally, reviews. You also own those. Why do we like reviews? Because people like what's called social proof. That's, don't just take my word for it, but here's a regular person that looks like you and has the same preferences and likes the same things you do, and they might go to the same places that you do. Take their word for it because they're saying it's really great. So that's why Amazon is so popular. You think about reviews, right? um the thing about this is that you have to ask for them. That's really like the biggest thing, is that you constantly have to ask for reviews. And I always say this about marketing: you have to give what you want to get. That should be a t-shirt too, honestly, when it comes to marketing, especially like permission marketing. You got to put a lot into it, but you can get a lot out of it. It is a reciprocal relationship, whether you're talking about email, your website traffic, your social media, advertising, lead gen, like any of that stuff. You got to give a lot of stuff to get a lot back. So, okay, so let's get into these things individually and expand out a little bit more. Social media. Why do I have Instagram on here? Because Instagram's really damn good for beverage brands, right? Is TikTok great? Sure. Facebook kind of, it's great for events, but as far as like building a brand machine and building a brand ecosystem, Instagram is fantastic because it's very visual, showcases product. You want content that converts. So things like testimonials, user generated content. I love working with influencers. Don't laugh at me. It works. It's social proof. It gives people a glimpse, or UGC, whatever you want to call it. Things like behind the scenes, personal videos, founder stories, staff spotlights, all that stuff is a great investment. Um, Budget friendly, that has to do with paid social media. So I tell people, see if you can start with like $2 a day and go from there. But like anything from like 0 to $300 a month, that's a substantial investment. So don't let people BS you and say that you have to spend thousands a month on social media advertising. You don't. Just give up a little bit, start there and scale up. And then finally, consistency wins over everything else. When I said post less, but post better, post 3 or 4 times a week, make it consistent. Don't like post 3 times a week and then disappear for 2 weeks. You gotta make it consistent, right? Online reviews. Here's the thing: engagement. Even if the review sucks, please interact with them. Um, I know people suck. I also have a beverage brand myself, in addition to consulting. I also manage people's social media. I know how bad it gets. The amount of garbage that comes in sometimes is just, it's very overwhelming. But as much as you can with your bandwidth, try to reply to reviews. It actually fuels your SEO when you can. So try to engage with people, even if they're not the greatest. Use like Chat GPT or something to come up with like a professional response. They're not always going to be great. All right. Easy collection. Make it easy to leave a review. Put like QR codes in your tap room or tasting room, put it on table tents, put it on menus, have your servers ask people to leave a review, like, how did you find us? All that kind of good stuff. Talk about it on social media, talk about it in your other marketing materials, email, stuff like that. What you're trying to do is build a trust factor for your brand, which is free 99, by the way. You just have to ask. It takes a little bit of time and effort, right? Public relations, media, here's your steps. First of all, find your angle. Why should this person write about you? By the way, I'm also a journalist, so I kind of know how this works. I'm part of the North American Guild of Beer Writers. I have lots of journalist friends. The biggest thing I hear from people is, okay, great, you have a new release, but why is that significant to my publication? And why is it significant to my readers? You don't have to be a professional pitch writer. You don't have to be a professional press release writer, but you got to understand, like, that's their business. How is it relevant? Um, for their readers and their audience. Like, it's relevant for you already, but how can you put it into their shoes, into their POV? That's so incredibly important. And tell them why. And it gives them a good reason, right? Um, you'll get better and better at writing these things, but short, relevant, timely follow-up, um, being courteous, please and thank you for your time. Those kind of acknowledgments go a long way. And also a thank you note if they write about you. Like, I'm talking about like a card, not like an email. Those go a long way. Anyways, and also free resources. Like, what's free 99 out there that you could use? Is it like a review site, an event calendar, something like that? Max those out, right? Okay, here we go with the SEO basics. I told you I was going to explain this. Um, I have to talk really fast, by the way, because I have a lot of stuff in here. I want you all to think about SEO, which is search engine optimization, right? It's basically so you can rank higher on those Google pages or Bing or whatever you're looking at, right? The higher you rank, the more people are going to find you, which means more foot traffic, right? Or more website traffic for you, which is great. I want you to think about it as a sticker chart. The way that you get stickers is keywords and backlinks. For anybody who has kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about with a sticker chart, but you want to get as many stickers as possible so that you're winning all the time, right? Keywords means that you have things like beer, craft beer, in this case, Atlanta, like craft beer near me, Julie's Brewery in Denver. I'm in Colorado, by the way. Um, but things like that that are relevant, like that people might use to find your brand, or things that they are using that are popular, like craft brewery tap room or whatever it might be. And you have those words and phrases embedded somewhere in your website so that you come up more often. The other thing is backlinks. That's basically anything that links back to your website that is outside of your website. Right. So things like, this is why media is important. This is why it's important to put links in your social media and your email marketing. We have what's called on-page SEO and off-page SEO. And I don't have enough time to go through that today, but please know that it's this like entire big ecosystem that contributes to this crazy thing called an authority score. That basically means, hey, my website, my brand can be trusted, and I want you to send more people to it. Google machine, that's how that works. I just gave it like the fast food version of SEO, but now you can probably see why that's so important. And guess what? These are words that you put in your website, and these are links that you put out in the universe, which is also free. So please do this. Great way to do that. Google My Business. I want you to trick out your Google My Business profile as much as you can. I don't know if y'all know this, but you can put events in there. You can put your event calendar in there, like Facebook events. You can put keywords, you can put phrases, you can put site links, you can put a lead generation form that will stick people on your email list. And you can also update it with pictures and status updates like you can social media, and it's free. So please do that. And also, just make all your stuff mobile friendly and make sure it loads fast. That also contributes to SEO. All right. I wish I could talk about email marketing way more, but I also know there might be a couple questions. By the way, I'm talking so fast and I think I have like 6 minutes left. If y'all have questions, please put them in the chat right now. Put them in the comments so that I can get to them and just like we can just go, go, go. All right, let's talk about email marketing. It is the highest ROI marketing engine that you have, and you own it. and it literally is cheap as dirt to do. There's even still programs out there that might be free, but these budget tools at the bottom, they will give you so many bells and whistles for like next to nothing. I'm talking like 15 to like $40 a month. That is literally nothing for the amount of return in revenue that you are getting, right? I love Kit. It used to be called ConvertKit. There's another one called Flowdesk for any of you pretty creatives out there that like beautifully aesthetically pleasing templates. The cool part about Flowdesk and Brevo is that it doesn't have a sliding scale for the number of subscribers. So you can have like 11 billion subscribers and you're going to pay the same thing. And Klaviyo is great. That one is a little bit more advanced, so just be careful. It's a little bit more expensive, but it also includes text message marketing, which is pretty fantastic. But here's the thing about email is that, again, you have to give what you want to get. So if you want to get revenue, you got to talk about your revenue streams. Like, yes, there's going to be pieces in there that are content forward, that are a way to get people invested with your brand. Yes, you absolutely need that in there. But you also need to remind people we have more than beer. We also have NA products. Oh, by the way, book your private party here. Oh, by the way, here's our new merch line. Hey, we also have this event going on. Now, you don't want to go overboard. We don't want to overwhelm people with just like a bucket of stuff every single time. So you kind of rotate things in and out. But the goal with email marketing is to get hooked up with an email service provider. Start, put the little box on your website, put a QR code in your tap room, start collecting email addresses at the POS station, when people check out, things of that sort, because you want to start building your list. And again, just like the other marketing channels, the higher the engagement, the better. That's what it is communicated with success, honestly. Okay, so when we come to paid ads on a budget, this is your ratio. Now, everybody has different ad budgets, but I tried to keep this, I don't know, like a setup so that you can just modify it for your own um, budgetary constraints. I tell people if you can commit to $5 to $10 a day across all of your platforms, like I mentioned, $2 a day for social, right? I'm saying $5 to $10 a day, literally that cheap across all these spectrums, you're in really good shape. And then you can scale up from there as your revenue goes up. But don't think that that's insignificant and that it won't impact your presence, because it absolutely will. So, my recommendation is most of you have a physical location. If you have a tap room or a tasting room, 40% of that needs to go to like local Google ads, search ads, performance max, stuff like that. 30% of it is called retargeting, which we put in social media channels. 20% could be other things. They could be display, sponsorship, I don't know, print, whatever. And then 10% your wild card. That's also your oh shit budget section, because you need to have an oh shit section. So that's my recommendation for everybody. You just need to keep track of your metrics. Here's another free 99 thing, kind of, sort of. Depends on what you're doing. But collab products, do a collaboration, leverage each other's promotional capabilities and your followers, sync up with people that are in similar spaces or that you would have complementary things to add to each other. Giveaways, do some little giveaways with like a merch basket, or I don't know, VIP tickets to your anniversary party or something like that. That's a great way to like drum up extra, brand awareness and buzz, pretty much. And then finally, shared promos. So can you team up with like another local business, an organization? Can you split the cost of something? Can you pool resources together as like a little co-op or a group? Um, I love so much a barter. I am a sucker for a trade. I love a good value exchange. I cannot even tell you. So, I don't know, is your tap room next door to a pizza place? Do they need more business? Do you need more business? Can you join forces? And it's like Han Solo and Chewie. Can you tell him it's Star Wars nerd? Join forces and increase the manpower, increase the reach, do some bundles, do some deals, do some crossover coupons. I've had clients go beyond that, like a brewery with like a skate shop. They did a pair of shoes together, um, a cider brand and a radio station, and they did like live broadcasts from it can go anywhere. Think about people's lifestyles. That's the biggest thing to hone in on. All right, so how do we budget smarter? Make every dollar count. And whatever your budget is, right? I want you to spend 70% of that budget on stuff that you know that works already. I want you to spend 20% of that budget like A B testing, like trying out, like add another platform, maybe give something a shot. And then, of course, 10% wild cards. That's your oh shit fun. That's where that goes. All right. So I want to give you an action plan. Don't come at me with the I'm too busy to look at marketing metrics, to look at digital marketing, to do strategy, all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing, you can't afford not to look at this stuff because you will get lost and you will get overwhelmed. I tell people create an action plan like this and start with 1 hour a week. I don't care how long it takes you to get through the action plan. Start with reviews. Interact with 5 people this week. That's all you have to do. Next week, interact with 10. Next week, interact with 15. Build up, start in small pieces. It's that Eat the Frog. I don't know if anybody's read that book. It's called Eat That Frog. It's really good. How do you eat a frog? One tiny bite at a time, and you eat the grossest stuff first. So if you don't like media relations, you move that up to number one. If you don't like Google, you move that up to number one. You start with the crap that you hate first, and then you move to the other stuff. And then at the end, it feels like a reward. It's amazing how that works. All right. So this is your action plan. Start with reviews. Week 2, optimize your Google My Business profile. Week 3, think about collabs. Do you have to execute them? No, you brainstorm them. We get it together. Week 4, you start thinking about building your email program. And week 5, you start thinking about media relations, building your journalist list, things of that sort. Does it have to go week to week? No, you could do it month to month, depending on your bandwidth, right? And I wanted to also leave y'all with some sample numbers because I think that's really helpful. If you're just getting started, yes, I could tell you you need to, like, if you go to the Small Business Administration, like the SBA website, or you go to a resource like SCORE, that's an acronym, by the way, and you get a marketing plan, they're going to tell you that if you're a new brand, you need to spend 20% of your annual projected revenue should be dedicated to marketing. I help brands in real life. Do you know what happens in real life? We spend 5% because that's all we can give up. And would I like you to spend 20? Absolutely. Not everybody can do that. I say call it at like 10%. Go with 10%. That's a really good number. But what that could look like on a monthly basis looks like this. I'm going to chunk 400 bucks a month at social media ads, wherever it might be across all the channels. I'm going to chunk $200 a month to email marketing. I'm going to commit $400 a month to local events. If you don't do that per month, then pool it, right? And then finally, I'm going to chunk $400 a month on SEO and website, right? Doing that kind of stuff. And then you can dip in between. But I feel like this is really manageable for most people. All right. I talked really fast. Vivian, I'm sorry that I'm like 3 months or 3 months. Listen to me, 3 minutes over. Oh, you found the link. That's awesome. It's such a good book. I'm telling you. If you have trouble with like whittling down like big picture stuff into like every day and like how can I knock it out, that's a really, really good book. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, thank
Julie,
you.
this
Yeah.
is great information, but we still have like 12 minutes. We have until
Do
3.
we
So
really?
yeah,
Oh my gosh, I'm so
if there's
excited. Okay.
anything that you wanted to go back on and expand upon or anything, please, because this is all great information. So
Oh,
you have
good.
time.
Okay, good. All right. Well, then I'm going to tell everybody like, don't miss this little offer. I have really fancy software that all of you should leverage for free. So if you are not familiar with SEO and you want to see what like a typical SEO report looks like, and I actually did this for Jen, was it last year? I think for the fellows, anyways, for Craft of Fraction. And we did this and it was super cool. So, um, I'm not trying to get your information, by the way. If you want to be on my email list, you can sign up for my email list, but I'm not going to put you on there without your permission. But I am happy to send you a free SEO report for your website. Just that's my email address. Shoot me an email. Just give me your full name and your website URL and the name of your business, and I'll plug it into my software. Excuse me, and I will get you a handy dandy SEO report. And then you can go to my website if you want to. Not a big deal. Thank you for putting that in there. All right, I'm going to take a sip of my tea. And I did see one question that came in. If anyone has more questions, I would encourage you to put them in the comments. No one has stupid questions, by the way. If you have a question, then somebody else probably has that exact same question. They're just afraid to ask it. So, all right. Hmm, Okay, Amy, you have to ask for reviews. Yes, I did say that. Is it okay to share reviews that are on review sites that you didn't ask for? Or is that weird, a violation for people's privacy? No, and let me tell you why. Anything that you put on the interwebs is now public property. If you put it on there and you hit send or submit or publish or post or whatever, it is now out of your hands. I hate to tell you that. That is Honestly, that's a good explanation for permission marketing. I signed up for this thing, so now you're going to send it to me. If it is a review of your products or company or business or whatever, or organization, and it is on a public website, say like Untapped or Yelp or Google or even like Beer Advocate or, you know, a forum or something like that, Reddit, that is public. You can screenshot it. I always say best practice for stuff like that is give credit to the person. You know what I mean? Like if it has their name on it, and then give credit to the site of where it came from. And that kind of keeps it safe. Like, hey, don't just take our word for it. Look at what I'm going to pick the worst name in the world. Look at what Karen said about our kettle sour. Yay. Hopefully it's 5 stars, not 2 stars. But things of that sort, and like screenshot it and then make sure that you're giving somebody credit for that as well. Of like, hey, thanks, Karen, from Minnesota. That was on, I don't know, beerreviews.com, that kind of thing. As long as you give credit for it, I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's okay. That's another thing too. I would say be very, very careful with people's permission. I say this right now, telling all of you, this is not. This has nothing to do with your budget. This has to do with the integrity of your brand. And the last thing I would want is for you to get into a lawsuit and get litigated for not having the proper things on your website to protect people's privacy. So, if you are already doing any type of Google like marketing metric collection, like if you're using Google Analytics or Google Search Console for your website and you do not have a privacy policy, a terms of use, or a disclaimer at the footer of your website, you are in violation of a number of policies in the US about consumer privacy. One of them being the Can Spam Act. You can look up all of these different things. But here you go. It's free 99 to fix it. You go on the Google machine and you Google privacy policy, terms of service, and disclaimer, and you copy and paste that legalese and you put your business name in there. And that is totally acceptable. It just needs to be on there. That little thing that pops up that says, like, do you accept cookies? Yes, I do. That means I just gave you permission to use me as a user on your website to see what I'm clicking on, where I'm going, where I'm hanging out, and how long I've been there. And that pretty much goes across the board for you're consenting to being marketed to if you follow somebody's social media page or like something. They're allowed to show you stuff after that. Same thing goes with email. If they've subscribed, you're allowed to legally market to them. Do not feel pushy, by the way, by doing that. Again, it's called permission marketing. They gave you permission to market to them. You need to market to them. And once they give you permission with their email address, then it's free 99 to market to them as much as you want to. And it's perfectly fine. And you know what? If they get tired of getting it, they will leave. Let them go. Let them go like Elsa. Just let them go because you want people that want to be there. You will not sell a thing ever to people that are unengaged with your content. You can try, you can beat your head up against the wall and you can waste a whole bunch of time and effort, but it's not going to happen. So, why not have like the little bit of a budget that you have, your limited resources, spending it on things that are effective and high engaging, where the probability of leading to a purchase is really, really high because they're constantly engaging with you, constantly. That's a surefire way of proving ROI with marketing. Um, it is very hard in the alcohol space, and I talk about this a lot. Honestly, I talk. If anybody's seen me speak at a conference, like a live conference, I speak about it online too. But the problem that we have with alcohol is that we don't have direct conversions. You can't like randomly go up to somebody in your tap room and be like, "Hey, why are you in here?" Okay, first of all, they're going to think you're crazy. Second of all, that's just weird. It's weird. um for those that don't have a physical location, because I know that there's people in here that might be contract brewing that just have stuff on the shelf or in like bars and restaurants. What are you going to do, follow that person around the store like a creepo and ask them why they're purchasing your 4 pack? No, you can't do that. We don't have a lot of direct ways in the alcohol space to measure direct ROI of our marketing activities, but what we can measure and what will prove ROI is what we call in the marketing world proxy conversions. And those proxy conversions is another way of saying engagement. So the thing is that if I don't know Vivian's brand, and say Vivian has a brewery, right? But I see one of her posts on Instagram and I'm like intrigued. And so then I hit the like button and then I see more of her posts. And I'm giving y'all an example of a customer journey here. Then I start seeing more of her posts in my feed. Then I get curious. So I go to the profile and I'm like, okay, there's some cool stuff going on. What's going on? Oh, Vivian Smart. She has her link to her website in her Instagram profile. Now I'm hitting the link to go to the website. Now that opens up a whole can of worms of interest, right? Because I haven't just scrolled by and double tapped. I'm actually going to like different places. And now I'm logged as a visitor on her website for her brewery, right? And if I stay and hang out for a while, maybe I'm clicking around on different things, exploring different stuff. And oh, she has an email sign up. I want to hear more. Cool. Because I'm there and I'm interested, right? So I subscribe to the email. Then I start getting emails from Vivian. And then she's talking to me about like the founder story, about other brands that she likes, staff highlights, new releases, upcoming events. And oh, I see she's doing a collab with Jen Price at some location in Georgia. And I want to plan on going there because I want to be part of that club, the Cool Kids Club. And so then that winds up leading to me going to that event, and those are dollars. Now we have a transaction. Now we have a conversion, right? The more you understand about that customer journey and those little tiny like breadcrumbs that I just talked about, those little proxy conversions, those little points of engagement, those are going to lead to a purchase. That is your best bet of measurement. So when I talk about being smart about activities and spending money on things that will increase engagement and keep me on the hook and keep me coming back for more, those are smart budget decisions as far as your marketing budget goes. That's one of the best things that you could do because the more you build those interaction points along that journey, the more you fuel that journey, the more likely the dollars will come at the end. And then you start getting into the territory of like brand loyalty, and that you can really measure because then it becomes, are they a regular customer? Are they part of our loyalty program? Do they buy tickets? Do they buy VIP access for new releases? Do they come in with friends and family? Things of that. Then you get into the really chunky, high ROI stuff. And I'll tell you one thing, it doesn't just stop with that purchase point. You have to be engaged through that whole customer cycle. And the whole point of that is to keep them coming back in a loop. And it's called the loyalty loop. And that's really what you're working towards is like, how do we get people out of that like brand unaware phase by spending money on things like an Instagram ad, spending money on an email program that will nurture me even more, and then spending money on, say, like a YouTube like video like display ad that I'm going to watch when I'm like watching a basketball game. By the way, go Pacers. Ooh, don't come after me, people. Um, anyways, yes, ROI. I'm sorry. I usually like to explain acronyms. Oh, it stands for return on investment. So what you're trying to measure is basically I spent $5 on social media marketing today and I got $10 back. And that's like a $5 ROI, basically. I'm like getting back into my pocket. So does that help? Was that okay, Vivian?
That was beautiful, beautiful. It
Yay!
was it was
Yay.
such great information. This can be a whole day workshop. It can be a whole week, honestly. You can break everything. I'm sure you've done it in different types of increments of time. So this crash course was I feel like I got some things out of it. I got a couple of t-shirt ideas. I'm not going to
Yeah,
steal,
yeah.
but yeah, everything was great. I hope that our guests here, I hope that they enjoyed themselves and also got some valuable information. Your Every time you cursed, I'm like, yes, Julie,
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you. I felt that. So
I get
I'm
kind of
gonna
heated sometimes about stuff. I'm like,
yes, yes,
yeah.
information on there. So thank you.
Mhm.
So before I close up, is there anything else you want to add before we go to the next session?
No, I would just say, don't let people tell you that, you know, there's a right or a wrong way to do it. You know your brand, you know what's right for your brand. Um, know the best practices. Great to know, right? But then the best thing that you could do is bring it back into your universe and then put stuff on the shelf for later. You can always do it in the future, but start with what you think you can handle, go from there, do it little bits at a time. And Amy just asked what's part of a frog is rewarding and delicious. Zero, zero. I'm pretty sure, except for maybe the legs. I don't know. My family, half of my family's in New Orleans. They would probably yell at me for not mentioning frog legs. So, but that could be it. Maybe you start with or you save the legs to last. But yeah, read, read, read. Education. Start small, scale up, go from there. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for joining this session. Thank you, Julie, for sharing your time. There is a quick 2-question survey if you all want to just give us some information, just to help just document what's going right, what we can improve on, what you really liked. Stick around for the last virtual session, which is going to be at 4:15. It's Liquid Influence: Building a Career as a Liquor and Wine Brand Ambassador. So thank you all
Yeah.
again, Julie. Thank you. We'll see. I'll be
Thank
emailing
you.
you. I don't know about them, but I
You
want that
can.
free SEO report. So
Please do. Please send me as many. I will take all of them. I have no limit on that software. So I'm like, please, people just send. I don't mind. I will send them all out. So thank you for
cool.
having me. This
Yes,
is
thank
always
you.
a pleasure. Thank you to Jen. Thank you to Craft
Yes,
of Action. I
yeah.
appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one. See you all later.
Thank you.